Earl Gilbert Graves Sr., American entrepreneur, publisher, businessman, philanthropist. I'm Tyrone Bowman. This is Tyrone Bowman Tonight. Before we get started, do you have a prophetic call in your life? If you do, then the Higher Dimensions School for the Prophets may be just for you. Oftentimes, individuals spiritually, they want to do things in a spiritual context, but they have not been mentored properly. Well, if you're looking for a place where you can be mentored properly with the right setting and the right people, contact Higher Dimensions School for the Prophets at www.schoolfortheprophets.com. That's Higher Dimensions School for the Prophets at www.schoolfortheprophets.com. Are you an aspiring independent artist, singer, songwriter, choreographer, actor, dancer, etc.? Are you a contemporary recording artist? Are you a secular recording artist? And no one wants to sit down and talk with you or to you or interview you or converse with you? Contact me, Tyrone Bowman, at email. This is my email address, btyrone443@yahoo.com. btyrone443@yahoo.com. The topic of discussion for this evening is Earl G. Graves, the founder of Black Enterprise magazine. So let's get right down to it, as I always say. Earl Gilbert Graves was born on the 9th of January 1935, was an American entrepreneur, publisher, businessman, philanthropist, and an advocate of African American businesses. A graduate of Morgan State University, he was the founder of Black Enterprise magazine and chairman of the media company Earl G. Graves Limited. He was the director for Aetna and executive board member of the Boy Scouts of America. Born in Brooklyn, New York, to Earl Graves, an immigrant from Barbados, and Winifred Seeley Graves, who was from Trinidad. Graves grew up in the Bedford-Stuyvesant section of New York City. A member of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, he received a Bachelor of Arts degree in economics in 1958 from Morgan State University. Also, he was an ROTC graduate and attended Airborne and Ranger schools. Having written a letter to the Democratic National Committee, he became a volunteer for the 1964 presidential campaign of Lyndon B. Johnson. His work with the party gave Graves the opportunity to serve as administrative assistant to newly elected Senator Robert F. Kennedy in 1965. Following the assassination of the senator, Graves would land a seat on the advisory board of the Small Business Administration, SBA, in 1968. He undertook his first job at the age of 7, selling boxed Christmas cards for his uncle. His territory was severely limited due to his father's rule that he could only sell to people living on their side of the block. While at Morgan State University, Graves made a name for himself as an entrepreneur. Realizing that there was a big market for flowers during homecoming week, he went to 2 competing local florists and cut deals with both to sell flowers on campus. For a percentage of the profits, the florist provided the flowers while Graves covered the campus. His time serving on the Small Business Advisory Board and his direct work with the agency would lead Graves to his benefit in the need for advice to businesses in economic development and urban affairs, which convinced him to create an annual newsletter that would chronicle issues relevant to Black business people and raise awareness of the importance of Black consumer power. At the suggestion of then the Small Business Advisory Director Howard J. Samuels, Graves would expand the concept of a newsletter into a full-fledged magazine. Earl Graves started Earl G. Graves Limited, or LTD, and under that holding company, he began the Earl G. Graves Associates Management Consulting Firm. In August 1970, the first issue of Black Enterprise magazine would hit newsstands. Earl G. Graves Ltd. would grow to include a number of divisions, including publishing, marketing, radio, television, and event coordinating arms. The firm is the co-owner of the private equity fund Black Enterprise Greenwich Street Corporate Growth Fund, an equity partnership formed with Travelers Group Incorporated. The fund aims to invest and promote minority-operated businesses. In 1990, Graves and Magic Johnson purchased the Piexel4 bottling franchise in Washington, D.C., and Graves served as CEO until 1998, when he sold his ownership to Pepsi. He held board and director memberships with a number of other corporations, including AMR Corporation, Dahmer AG, Federated Department Stores, and Rome and Haas, as well as a board member of the American Museum of Natural History and Hayden Planetarium in New York City. He was also a member of the Board of Trustees of Howard University. Graves received the Silver Buffalo Award from the Boy Scouts of America in 1988 and served as the National Commissioner from 1985 to 1994. He received the NCAAP's Spurgeon Medal in 1999. In 2002, Graves was named as one of the most 50 powerful and influential African Americans in corporate America by Fortune magazine. Graves was appointed by the administration of George W. Bush to serve on the Presidential Commission for the National Museum of African American History and Culture. On April 6, 2007, Earl G. Graves Sr. was inducted into the Junior Achievements United States Business Hall of Fame. In 2009, he became the recipient of the 2009 NCAA Silver Advisory Board. In his honor, Morgan State University's Business School was named Earl G. Graves School of Business and Management. It was opened in 2015. Always remember this, ladies and gentlemen: goals, dreams, aspirations, and hopes can be achieved if you're willing to do what it takes to succeed. Health, happiness, success, and prosperity, they are real. They're guaranteed if you're willing to do what it takes ethically, morally, educationally, academically, and spiritually to be able to achieve these goals. Never surrender, never quit.